Welcome to the end of 2025, the beginning of an exciting new year. Just a few hours left. No, we're not doing a live countdown. There are highly paid professionals that do that. And you need to work your way up to getting drunk and counting down with them. And then there's going to be some celebrities that come by and occasionally make fools of themselves. And you know how it is, right? And then we're going to ring in the new year. I think 2026 is going to change our lives in a way that we're not expecting because I think there's going to be some very highs and some very lows. And we're not going to deep dive those tonight, obviously, because it's a festive time, December 31st, 2025. It is 4 o'clock, roughly, 4 p.m. East Coast time. So, and I'm recording this from the KenMatthews Media Studio bunker, an hour northwest of Philadelphia. So this would be New Year's Eve afternoon. Yeah, late afternoon, right? And there is a very important message that needs to be shared with a lot of people so we can save lives. Champagne corks can fly at 50 miles per hour. You doing the champagne thing? I haven't had champagne in so long. Hold on a second. I'm turning my phone off. Sorry about that. Or maybe I turned it back on. I don't know. I'm sober, by the way. Yeah, I haven't started doing anything yet for New Year's Eve, other than show prepping for the day after New Year's, which I believe is Saturday. So here's how it works. In 2008, a German scientist, it figures that it was a German scientist, calculated that the average speed of a champagne cork is just under 25 miles an hour. Though they also noted that 62 miles an hour can be reached under the right conditions. So I'm thinking maybe you're in a moving vehicle and you're in the back seat and the windows are open. I don't know. I don't know what could cause, maybe the size of the bottle, but even 25 miles per hour. Imagine getting hit by a car at 25 miles per hour. You know, that would hurt. So a champagne cork, I would imagine, would do some damage, especially to the face, eye socket, nose cartilage, teeth, lips, and it would probably sting your butt, you know, if you're running around at like a political banquet or something and everybody has their pants off. You know what I mean? And someone's popping, hey, we did it. Wow. That would be like a little bee sting, I would think. Anyway, other sources, including the American Academy of Ophthalmology, have noted that corks can easily fly at 50 miles per hour. The high-speed bedazzlement is the result of the way that champagne and all sparkling wine is created. Now, what I usually have on New Year's Eve, because I'm kind of a lightweight in that department, I mean, I can count and everything, 10, 90, okay, but I usually have sparkling cider. I like sparkling apple cider or sparkling grape. You know what I'm saying on the grape drink. I know you do. Yeah. Anyway, this has been a magical thing since the late 17th century. When Dom Perignon, that's French, discovered the recipe. And maybe even before that. The beverage has been made by adding yeast and sugar to an existing base of wine, sealed tight in a bottle, and this mixture undergoes a second fermentation that produces its signature carbon dioxide bubbles. In other words, there's gas in that there bottle. That second fermentation swells internally pressure to 90 pounds per square inch, which, I would imagine that's the pressure you have if you're under a deadline in your brain, give or take, right? Approximately 3 times the level of an inflated car tire. Upon finally achieving release, when the bottle's wire is unwrapped, right, and it's stopper nudged, the pent-up carbon dioxide not only ejects the cork at parkway level speeds, but also generates supersonic shock waves that resemble those unleashed by rockets and jets. That's where the German scientist comes in. Rockets and jets. But isn't it surprising that this hasn't been outlawed yet. When you think about it, you've got pent up pressure, you have 90 pounds per square inch, you have carbon dioxide, you have all the things that people complain about. It's hurting the environment, etc. One of these corks can go crazy, kill an innocent animal, or kill a party goer. Of course, a violently ejected projectile needs to be handled carefully. I'm surprised there isn't a permit for that. You know, do you know the BYOB places, right? We used to go to those all the time, my wife and I, because she's picky about wine and stuff. And if she can bring her own, legally and match it up with a nice meal, pair it with a nice, delicious cuisine, that was her thing. So I'd bring in like some Perrier or sparkling water because that's usually like $38 a bottle in New York. And then she would bring her stuff in, right? Okay. So a poorly aimed cork can shatter glass and result in ghastly injuries like a split eyeball or a detached retina. Drinkers will want to follow safe opening guidelines, which I'm sure I haven't seen a bottle of champagne in years close up. Do they have that on there? I would imagine it would ruin the charisma of the bottle if there was some type of warning on it, right? But there's warnings on everything. So you have to follow the safe opening guidelines that include chilling the sparkling wine. That reduces pressure, aiming away from the body, gripping the cork while twisting the bottle. So that gives you that controlled kind of the foam comes out. So I guess I've only opened a bottle of champagne once. So, I'm not a member of the Illuminati or a secret society. So I don't crack. That's a little tease of what's coming up in 2026. We're really going to go deep and see if we can wake up some of these people that have attacked so many of us in the last few years. And it turns out we've been right on just about everything. Anyway, so you do the thing, and then it, right? Okay. So I guess if you don't hold the cork, that's when it becomes weaponized. That's when it's weaponized, I guess. Okay. 50 miles an hour. I'll put it at 30. But again, even that, it could hurt you if it hits you in the eyeball, you know. But it is tempting. It is tempting to weaponize it. But I would imagine there'll be a lot of champagne corks popping this New Year's Eve. And I have one other thing I want to share with you here. Hopefully I can find it in the pile of preparation, because this is just a public service announcement to let people know that I care deeply about society. Media does that all the time. They'll have public service announcements on so they can say, look, we care about the community. Kids, don't do drugs. Don't drink and drive. Slow down out there. Okay. Hold on a second. Here we go. I want to talk about the ball for a second. Yeah. All right. Hold on one second. I think this is it, right? Yeah. The ball drop at Times Square. Actually, my youngest son will be there. Yeah. I told him you should really disguise yourself, just so you don't get on any, because there's so much facial recognition in New York. So I told him you should dress up as either a mailbox or a Christmas tree, and then move, hold, move, hold. Don't walk around and because there's so many cameras now in New York. It's not like London, but the last time I was in New York, I do that as a hobby because I'm a geek, and I count cameras. Like my local grocery store has 11 exterior. That's parking lot and structure before you even get in. 11 cameras. Local grocery store, small town, Pennsylvania. There are hundreds of cameras all over this country, and you see them. They're on trees. They call them the cam trees. There's just like the what do they call it? The tree, and then the branches would be the cameras. So the trunk, that's what it's called. That's where I might end up next year, in someone's trunk without air, the way things are going. But so the trunk, and then all the cameras on it. So it's not only 360, it's like It's magnified, it's high, low, it's all that stuff. So anyway, getting back to the balls or ball. Actually, there's been 7 different balls. The ball that was in 1908, I think Nancy Pelosi was there for that one. I think she was a 25-year-old aspiring politician at the time. 1908, Times Square, that was the first of 7 different balls. A lot of people didn't know that, why is the word ball so, like, interesting to say? I don't know. The latest debuted in 2007 to mark the 100th anniversary of the event. The building is now known as One Times Square, and the ball, as you've seen, which sparkles throughout the year, weighs 6 tons, including, and that includes, by the way, not including, but so 6 tons total, but part of that is about a ton of Waterford crystal triangles. And then there's 32,000 LED lights. Not as many as in my background tonight. You may notice I brought in a few extra colors just to see how festive it is. I mean, just stop for a minute. Just see how, do you see see how festive I know, it is festive. So 6 tons for people, just to get an idea of what 6 tons is. It would be like if you took 2 full Ford Expeditions, give or take. Well, no, let's go with Explorers. 2 full Ford Explorers. Most people know that the cops use the Explorers, but so you're familiar with that particular model. So 2 of those, 2 full size Explorers, all tricked out, maybe with bump bars on the front, whatever. That 2 of those would total roughly 6 tons, give or take, in case you're wondering. Now, if one of those hits you at 50 miles an hour, it's over. So be careful out there. If you're going to pop your cork, do it with someone you care about. Okay, okay. All right, that's enough of that. Anyway, we're going to be back. We're going to be back with a full segment here a little bit later, or maybe in the morning during your hangover. I would imagine this particular audience, you probably don't drink yourself into hangovers anymore because it's an age thing. I mean, I've met a lot of you online and a few on the phone, and it's kind of like me. Now 45 years ago, totally different situation, right? Okay. Anyway, thank you so much for your support. Have a wonderful New Year's Eve. Have a safe New Year's Eve. We'll be seeing you in the new year. We are doing some very exciting things in the new year on the Ken Matthews podcast. We are deep diving like you cannot even imagine. There's so much going on that you could totally ignore the news, and you wouldn't miss much in the news because they're involved in covering it up. And I'll explain that in my next podcast. But I did want to mention that a few hours ago, it was confirmed that 5 million more documents from the Epstein files, pages, documents, text, notes, photos, 5 million plus, just released. So as I predicted last week, they will stretch out this Epstein thing to protect President Trump and Bill Clinton and anybody else in the club that you and I are not in. And so there's a lot of people in that club, and no one in the club, and you can call it whatever you want to call it, the club, the deep state, the clique, the wealthy, the elites, whatever you want to call it. No one in that club is going down. They're not going to let it happen. That's what the masters of the universe have figured out as they've mastered the universe for the last century plus. They may not get along with each other, but they're not letting any of each other go down. So they will drag out evidence from anything that will hurt them. So you and I believe that they're complying, but after the last several years, we know they're not. So if you think that you're going to wake up in 3 months and you're going to see people in handcuffs, or you're finally going to get to the bottom of the Epstein child trafficking ring and the different intelligence agencies that have it all on file and to this day have hundreds of people on tape, Ain't going to happen. I don't see it happening until maybe 2029. And by then, Mamdani will be president. I just said that to freak you out. That's not going to happen. I'm just kidding. That's not going to happen. But he is getting sworn in next month on the Quran. So thank you again, New Yorkers, for rallying around and installing through your votes or negligence or I don't know what, but you managed to take one of the greatest cities on earth and put a Muslim communist in charge. So 2026 will be an exciting year. Thanks for your support. God bless you and your family. And it goes without saying, Happy New Year.